All right, so we are going to talk about a Facebook post that we had about interest rates or how the banks make massive amounts of money. We can get deeper into the bank stuff, but I just want to show you basic interest rates, how they work, and the difference between a spread and a profit. So real quick, on the Facebook post, I basically gave a simple scenario. I said on January 1st, John borrowed $10,000 against his Cashflow Accelerator account at 5% interest rate, and he chose to pay back the principal and interest at the end of year one. On the same day, John lent the $10,000 to Mary at a 10% interest rate, with the principal and interest due at the end of year one. So basically the $10,000 is $10,000 for both scenarios. The main difference here is 5% interest rate is what John is borrowing and paying for his money, his cost, and then he's lending it out to Mary at 10%. So a lot of people would say, oh, well, that's a 5% spread, so he's making 5% on his money. And that's actually not exactly correct. So I'm going to pull up a couple calculators here, and these are time value money calculators. And what a time value money calculator is, it just gives us a different aspect. A lot of people don't like to use these calculators. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to, and I can show you the proof of this here in a second, but we're going to take a rate calculator and we're going to plug in 5 for the present value. So this is just saying a 5% interest. Now, whether we're talking $10,000 or $1,000, it doesn't matter. That amount of money, this is going to be the profit of the money that he's using. So if we go from 5% present value and the future value is 10, and we go for 1 year, that's 100% profit. Now, again, this is not the spread or the interest on the money, the 10,000. This guy, John, borrowed 10,000 from someone else, other people's money. And that other person said, hey, you owe me 5%. You can pay it at the end of the year. Okay. So what happens is if we go to the future value calculator, we're going to say, hey, this is for John, $10,000 present value. He's paying 5% interest for 1 year. So that means his total back to whoever he borrowed the money from is $10,500. Now let's do the same for Mary. Mary gets $10,000 from John. She pays 10% for the year, kind of the same terms, but 10% this time. And at the end of the year, John gets $11,000. So he pays off the 10.5, but really his cost to use the 10,000 to rent the 10,000 was $500. However, he made $1,000 when Mary rented that same money from him. So let's take this. We take $1,000 and we minus the cost that he paid, which is $500, and that gives us $500, right? Now we're going to divide that into that initial cost. So if we divide that into the initial cost, it equals 1. Well, 1 is the same if you do percentage. It's the same as 100%. And that's how this works. That's what these banks do. And so imagine, and we're not even getting into other strategies, but imagine a bank, they're using your money and my money to lend to Mary. So let's just say this. Let's say there's a 5% spread, like we're doing 5 to 10%. What happens if we do the 5% spread on a lower number? So let's say the present value is 4%, and let's say the future value is 9%. Well, what happened? It's still a 5% spread, but the profit is totally different. The profit's 125% profit. What if we go from 3 to 8? Still a 5% spread, but the profit's 166%. What if we go from 2 to 7? As you can see, banks will do this. They'll get their money cheap from the Fed, let's just say 1%, and then they loan it to you for, say, 6%. Now, they're making a 500% return on that. But what if they do the same thing? What if they get their money, or even they're not even paying us anywhere close to 1% for the most part, most banks. So what happens when they loan out for, I don't know, a credit card for 15%? That's $1,400 profit. The cost of their money to rent our money, they're not even using their own money. The cost of their money to rent from us into what they're charging us on the other end for a credit card in this case, they're making 1,400% profit on money that's not even theirs. So we can get deeper in this. I want people to ask questions. So feel free to put a comment. I might even make another post with this, but I just wanted to show you that when you have money sitting around and you can even get a couple points on your money, it's actually totally different. It's an entirely different profit amount than you think. That's why a lot of lenders, you're like, well, why would they do that? Why would they loan at this and pay this, and they're making this 3, 4, 5% spread? Well, it's because that's not how the dollars work. And I'll show you one last thing. So if I'm getting my money for free with my Cashflow Accelerator, when I say for free, It's because I'm getting a loan against the cash I have in my policy, but the cash I have in my policy isn't coming to me. The life insurance company is giving me a collateralized, almost 100% of it, but they're giving me their own money. And so I'm using their money to do something like this. So my money's still growing. And so even if I'm paying them 5%, my money's growing at, let's say, 5%. And actually there's some arbitrage there if we get down to the details. However, my money and my cash value is compounding at ever increasing amounts. It's not losing its spot in the compound curve. Every year that goes by, it gets more efficient, it grows faster. So let's just say I'm at a 0. I can't use 0 or else it will error out the rate of return. But let's say I use my money and I put it into a multifamily syndication, and let's just say I'm getting 15%, or let's just say I'm getting 10%. I mean, just look at this. To rent money from someone else based on the cost of my money to the profit of my money, it's just mind-blowing if you look at the numbers this way. Yeah, so anyway, hopefully that was helpful, and ask some questions and we'll discuss more about it. Have a great day.